Hello, and because of you guys and gals, I think we're going to have a better future. All right, so we're going to go over our algebra lesson 1-2. It's titled Order of Operations. Right. So quickly, we're just going to do something over exponents. Copy this down. Hit pause if you understand the concept. Then just move on. Okay, so this is what we call a power or an exponent. You have two numbers. You have a large one called the base. The small number at the top we actually call the exponent, or we call it the power. So this is 2 to the third power, or 2 cubed. So what is exponents? Basically, it's just repeated multiplication. So real quick, if you have 2 to the power of 3, you take this base, the large number, you write it out 3 times. 1, 2, 3. You are going to multiply them. So you get 2 times 2 is 4. Times 2, you get 8. Right? Over here, we have 5 to the 4th power, or to the power of 4. And again, what do? You don't go 5 times 4 and make 20. That's just single times. Exponents is repeated times. So you take this base, you write it out literally 4 times. You put multiplication, and you can see it's going to be a way bigger number. So you have 5 times 5 is 25. This 5 times 5 is 25. 25 times 25 is 625. So that's it on exponents. So on order of operations, here are the specific order. So I want you to hit pause. I want you to write this down. Put down those symbols. Make sure that under third and fourth, you do have this long arrow, and I will explain what that is. So copy this down. All right. So the first thing when we're doing order of operations, you have to do anything that has a grouping symbol. So you're looking for parentheses, brackets, what we call braces. If you ever see those, that's the first thing you do. Then we look for exponents. So like 2 to the third, 5 to the 8th. And then after these two have been eliminated, you look for multiplication and division. So these guys have the same strength. And that's what this arrow is for. Is you base which one you do first on who comes first in the problem. So this is from left to right. So if it says divide, then it has a times symbol, then you divide first, not multiply. And then the same thing for the fourth one, you have addition and subtraction. Again, those two have the same amount of strength, so it just depends on how they come in their order of the problem. So remember, we read from left to right, and we do that in math. So if you have a plus sign first, then you add first. If you have a subtraction sign first, then you subtract first after these others are done. So make sure this is in your notes. All right, so here are two examples of what we would call actually fairly easy order of operation problems. So what I want you to do is just immediately hit pause, copy these down. I'll get out of the way. If you understand it, just move on. All right, so looking back at this one. So I always like to write the word PEMDAS above it because it stands for parentheses, exponents. There's my multiplication and division. There's my addition and my subtraction. Again, they're in boxes because these also depend on who comes first in the problem. So looking at this first one, the reason I write the word PEMDAS above my problems is it lets me keep track. So I look for any parentheses? Yes. So there's parentheses. I did the parentheses first. That's where the 4 came from. Everything's the same. Still have my exponent 3. Still have my division sign. Still have my 2. Then I look for exponents. Yep, I do have some exponents. Cross that out. That's 4 to the third. That doesn't mean 4 times 12. That means 4 times 4 times 4. That's where this 64 came from. Then I copy down the division sign and my 2. Obviously, now there's no multiplication. There is division. 64 divided by 2 is 32. So I'm done because there was no addition or subtraction. So I come over here. I have 5 times 2 squared divided by 2 plus 8. Again, I write the word PEMDAS above it to help me keep track. So there's no parentheses, so I cross out the P. Do I have exponents? I do. I have a 2 squared. So that 2 squared means 2 times 2. It makes the 4. Everything else copy down exactly the same. I copy down the 5 again, the division sign, the 2, and the plus 8. So there's my exponents. Then I look, and I have times. Okay, so my exponents are done. Now I look at multiplication and division. Well, I do have multiplication and division. On this one, it just happens that the times, or the multiplication, comes first from left to right. So I'm going to do my 5 times 4, and I'm going to do my 20. So I cross out multiplication, and again, copy everything down other than what you just did. So there's my 20, there's my divide sign, there's the 2, there's my plus, and there's the 8. So do I have division? Yes, so I cross out the D. 20 divided by 2 is 10. Drop down everything else. Drop down the plus 8. And then I do have addition, 10 plus 8. I get 18. And that's it for those two problems. Okay, so we're going to do a couple more warm-ups. All right, so I have this same problem written out twice. 6 plus 4 divided by 2 plus 3. And 6 plus 4 divided by 2 plus 3. This one is wrong. Okay, same problem, but it's completely wrong. This one is correct. Hit pause and see if you can figure out where the mistake was made over here. Okay. All right, so you already hit pause, and now we're going forward. Again, we have to use PEMDAS, or order of operations. It's very key because you can get the wrong answer and it looks right. So let's see where the mistake was made. So we have 6 plus 4 divided by 2 plus 3. Well, we don't have any parentheses. There's no exponents. And then we get to multiplication. That's my first step that I should be doing. All right, well, guess what? There's no multiplication either. So then I come to division. Well, here I have division. 4 divided by 2. Even though it's in the middle of the problem, that has to be done first. 4 divided by 2 makes the 2. I drop down the 6, and I drop down the 3. Okay? And that's where their mistake was made over here. They added first. Right? They added before they divided. They added 6 plus 4, and they got 10. Now they went to division and got 5, and then they added. But their first mistake was doing this addition first. Okay? We have to get past the fact that if it shows up first, that means we do it first. That's not it. There's an order. And if that order means you have to start in the middle of the problem, that's where you start. So we start right here in the middle with 4 divided by 2. We get 2. That's my division. Go in order. This is why I write PEMDAS out. I go 6 plus 2. See how I'm going from the left to the right? So I always go from left to right, even if it's all addition. 6 plus 2 is 8. I drop down my plus 3. 3 plus 8 is 11. All right, so we're going to do a couple more examples. Okay, again, here's another comparison of doing it the correct way, in order, and out of order. So take a moment and copy both of these down. All right, so again, I always like to keep track of my work. So I don't have any parentheses on this problem. I do have exponents, right? So I come over here and I have the exponent 3 to the 2, which means 3 times 3, so that makes a 9. I drop down my 2, drop down my minus sign, drop down the 20. All right, so I did my exponents. And you know what? They did their exponents over here also first. So far, we're good. Right? They went 3 squared, they got 9. They dropped down the multiplication symbol, the 2, the minus sign, and the 20. So we're still good. Right? So now we look for multiplication. So we do multiplication over here, because we do have it. We have 2 times 9. So I do my multiplication, I make the 18, I drop everything else down, the 20 and the minus sign. So I get 20 minus 18. But over here, did they do multiplication first? No. They did subtraction first. This is where their error was made, right here. They subtracted first, which is, with addition, one of the last things that you do. And they subtracted first. And look how much that's going to mess up our answer. So coming back over here, so you do your times, you do your multiplication. We have 20 minus 18. There's no division. There's no adding. And then we have 20 take away 18, and you get 2. But over here, because we did subtraction first, since they did subtraction first, they get this 20 minus 2, they get 18, and then they have to go 18 times 9, and I had to use a calculator, and you get 162. So, and the hard part with order of operations is this makes sense. 18 times 9 is 162. You would never really know on a test that this was the wrong answer. Because it's nothing weird. It looks like it works out. But they did not go in order. Now I'm just going to show one more example and then this lesson's over. Alright, go ahead and write down this expression. And I kind of went down and then I went sideways. So copy this down and we'll go over this in just a moment. Alright, so this time it looks like we have a big fraction. And when you see this, when you see a fraction, you almost use this fraction bar. It's almost kind of like a set of parentheses. It makes two groups. It makes a top group and it makes a bottom group. So if you ever see that fraction bar, it's kind of like having parentheses. It's dividing it into two problems, a top and a bottom. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually do the top first and ignore the bottom. So I look at the top, I have 2 times 7 plus 4. Well, I know that we have multiplication is first. So I go 2 times 7, and that's where this 14 comes from. 14 plus 4, right? Again, I'm leaving the bottom alone for a second. So I get 14 plus 4, and then that's only adding, and then that gives me my 18. So the top is now simplified. So it looks like I added before I divided, I know, but remember, this is pretty much kind of like parentheses. So I'm going to do the top first. Now I'm going to do the bottom since the top is done. And it happens just to be 9 divided by 3. So, because there was nothing else. So there's where the 3 comes from. And then there's my 18 over 3. Now remember, this is the mature division. Right? So this means 18 divided by 3. And that gives me an answer of 6. So this one example was just to show you that if you get a big fraction with order of operations, do everything on the top first. So almost do PEMDAS just on the top. Get the top done. Then do the bottom. So then do all the PEMDAS on the bottom. And then you'll end up with two numbers and then see if they make a nice division. All right, so that's the end of order of operations. Have a math-tastic day.